It's always expanding no matter what, but start there, because then what you desire, now we're into quantum manifestation, then what you desire, those thought form particles, what you have created in your mind's eye, working with the quarks, the bits, the pieces of what you call the universe, all of these things that you cannot perceive from your 3D prism, all of those things begin to materialize, and they match the expanded heart, because the expanded heart is an imprint, a connection of source.
Welcome to your awakening journey. Today's destinations include higher consciousness and actualized potential. If all ascenders could now please be seated in a comfortable meditative posture, we're about to ascend. You are now arriving at your host, Bryan Henry.
Ascenders, welcome back to another episode of the Awaken podcast. And if this is your first time joining us in the space of unity and collective ascension, I want to welcome you. My name is Bryan Henry. I'm the founder of Together We Ascend and the Ascend Academy, and your host of the show. There has not been many other connections and relationships that have invoked in me a similar degree of expansion as this one. Each and every time I connect with this individual, I experience a great degree of upliftment and growth. And so it is my absolute honor and pleasure to have her join me on the Awaken podcast to share with not just me, but with you as well. Yolanda Marie is an active and gifted channel. She has been channeling messages from the Arcturian Council in service to our collective ascension, and she's just about a perfect example of someone that is committed to service towards the highest good of all. She's been an absolute inspiration to me, and the messages that she has been bringing through has personally been benefiting me. And so in this episode, we get into a topic that I know is of interest to many: manifestation. If you've been exploring this topic and what's being shared about it, you've likely come across a myriad of different perspectives, thoughts, and ideas and techniques around how we should go about approaching and thinking about and manifesting our desires. Ascenders, in your ascension, and you have been ascending, you're coming into a greater power to manifest more naturally, more swiftly. You're accessing the ability to manifest from the quantum field. This is quantum manifestation 101. If you're ready to deepen in your understanding of what should be your primary intention in your ascension process, as well as how to access the gift of quantum manifestation, you're going to want to jump into this one. But before we do, I do have to put out the invitation. So those of you that are ready to hear it, do. The Ascend Academy is uniting and activating lightworkers. This is a call for all of the starseeds, all of the souls that have come to this planet at this time to be a part of and to serve in collective ascension. We are coming together in our united purpose in support of one another and to unite in our shared purpose. You can head on over to the Ascend Academy's platform and website at academy.togetherweascend.com to learn more. Anyways, Ascenders, let me not keep you waiting any longer. This is my conversation with Yolanda Marie and our good friends, the Arcturian Council.
Yeah.
So how you been?
Listen, okay, so I'm good. I mean, but at the same time, well, there's really not a but there. This energy right now, listen, It is not for the faint of heart. It is, especially if you are engaging and aware and sort of like in it as in tuning in on purpose with intention to make sure people know, like that sort of thing. Because you can definitely, let it bounce off of you. You can avert it. You know what I mean? But for me, I'm sort of just letting myself be in it and understand it and feel it. And there's a lot of, well, first of all, it's very good. Collectively, like, especially for those who are conscious of the energies coming in, whatever that means for them. There's so many different ways to say what's coming in, and it's all correct, but it's just, there's so many different ways. It's all semantics, but basically people are getting ready to manifest on such a big level. And the energy right now, it's like a squeeze. It's like you're being squeezed like a sponge, or it's just very like, lots of different things going on. And so if you're a person who clears other people's energies, then you're clearing a lot. I'm one of those. Mm-hmm. Or if you're just about to birth some new projects and things like that are going on, you may feel that in your body. You may feel the emotional distress of that. Just, a lot of different stuff going on. And so, yeah, stuff sped up for me this week. And I had a little clue that I would be ready, but not ready. And boy, that's exactly what happened. I was like, wow. And not even just with me, but my kids too, like their projects, all of their stuff, their school stuff, just like went bananas, all of it, everything went crazy.
Yeah, it came in strong, huh?
Yeah.
Things are happening quicker and quicker. Is it just going to continue to accelerate?
Yes, it is. That's your answer. It is definitely going to continue to accelerate. And actually right now we're still in a lull a little bit, even though it quickened, because Saturn went direct. So the pace quickened, everything did quicken, but we're still sort of like, it's the beginning of some seeds that were planted before are going to start to bloom. Like these things are happening, and some of it is conscious and some of it is not. Mm-hmm. But, you might feel like you literally want to give birth, like things are just happening. It's a squeeze. It's sorry to be so graphic, but that's the truth. I mean, you're going to feel squeezed, and it's a good squeeze. Mm. Things are falling off, things are coming in, all of that's going on. And that's our ongoing cycle. But you're right. It's expeditiously occurring, just more and more and more. And I want to say, it's until we get to December, but really it's just going to keep going. I mean, we're going to get to the solstice, and then we will feel a paramount surplus is the word that wants to come through, of just, so almost like a burst, almost like a bursting forth that is bigger than what we've experienced. And it's going to be sort of like this invitation for people who aren't really sure, like they're right on the line. And by the way, all of this is okay. None of this is a judgment. Mm-hmm. There are some people that are going to choose consciously to stay asleep. There are some people who have in their plan, in their chart, however you want to think of how we came into this experience, how we chose to come in. They're never in our lifetime going to choose to really be awake to everything. So they will feel a lot of pressure. They will go through a lot of trauma for decades. But none of that's a judgment, because from higher perspective,
they're choosing
we're all still us. Like we're all doing this, and it's all for the purpose that we, Gaia, the Earth Mother who birthed our human bodies, we're all in this experience together, and it's just moving it forward. We're creating all of this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're creating all of this. We feel like there are all of these enemies around and all of this to and fro and push and pull more when we observe something outside of ourselves as different, as foreign, as the other, all of that stuff. And there's nothing to worry about. It feels like there's a battle going on. If we're paying attention to what's going on in the 3D world, those goings on, politics or whatever, what have you. But really, all of this is being handled, and it's by us from a higher perspective. It's not being handled by something really outside of us, right? And so looking at it from that perspective will allow this to flow a little bit more easily, because we can just, you can look at the news, you can look at whatever's going on and understand all of that, and have compassion for all of it as well, actually. Mm-hmm. And that's actually part of, okay, so we're going to get into this. All right, so this thing that's going on with the virus, okay, if you want to call it a virus, it can be called many things. But what's happening is, of course, real for many people. And there needs to also still be compassion there. And so the reason why we are still in what we're still in, wow, that's what they wanted to get into. No wonder they weren't even bothering. They were like, we want to talk about this. Okay, so the reason why we're still in what we're in is because the test was a test of compassion, not a test of who's supposed to do this and who's supposed to do that. Not clinging to, not jumping back into, this is what I believe, this is what you believe, this is right and wrong. You're a spiritual leader. How dare you do this? Why aren't you doing this? You know, we're not safe, you're not safe. All of this fear-motivated stuff. We were feeding it with and when I say fear-motivated stuff, we're saying this because when you walk into a situation and your heart is not open in the situation, no matter what, free of judgment, you are immediately accessing the very thing that you wish to eradicate. It will flock to you. You must have your heart open in a situation where there are very tumultuous energies flying everywhere. And the energy was very tumultuous at the time that people believed they were becoming ill. And by the way, believing that they were becoming ill, they did become ill. They were not imagining symptoms. However, it could be avoided. The fact that they did not understand how to avoid, and that, or the fact that perhaps they chose from higher perspective to come in and experience it on purpose. So some people might have known that they could have avoided and might understand that it's a frequency thing, but from higher perspective, from higher self perspective, had made a decision, I'm going to experience this so that I can better bond and understand to bring someone up with me, to bring them out of it. I want to understand that happened as well. And so as all of these things happened, many of you were just judging each other and you forgot to have your heart open, and that is okay. That is okay. Now she is monitoring us. She needs us to say that it's okay that happened, and it is okay that happened. Everything will still work out perfectly, but you should keep your heart completely open. This is not a conditional thing. And this is not a judgment on you. You are also still learning and expanding as well. If you are one who momentarily forgot to have your heart open in that one moment or instance, or even many instances, that is part of your experience, and it is for a reason. That means you are just relatively staying in a place where you can reach someone who you have agreed to reach. All of this as well. However, if you are listening to this right now, what is happening right now, you are being initiated into further action of consciousness to understand that this is now your role. Keep your heart center open. Keep your heart center open. This would have transpired. This would have transpired already. This would have transpired. This will still transpire and expire out of your existence. This irritation, this annoyance that is happening. It's like a net that won't go away, or something that just won't leave you alone. And it just seems to keep coming back. Oh no, they're shutting it down again. They're shutting it down again. Yes. Open your heart. Open your heart.
That's the only thing we need to do. Pause transmission. Pause transmission. I'm going to be resuming. The party's still going.
Oh, it's no big deal. I said they've been sort of saying that to me for quite a while, but in different ways, but I didn't expect, it's not really my role to go in on all of that. So I really didn't know if they were going to come through.
Is that, you don't want to stir up too much controversy, huh?
No, that's not it. It's no controversy. It just wasn't my role, meaning that who was coming into me needed something different.
Okay.
In my role, because other people have that role already. And, all of the roles are controversial. I mean, even I mean, I've done videos that talked about opening hearts and how we're all on the same side when all that was going on that got, thumbs downs. So,
Yeah.
people get they're going to be triggered by whatever they're going to be
Yeah.
triggered by, which is
And
great
you're
because
not
a
concerned
trigger
with that.
means, say that again.
I said your concern isn't how it's going to be received. You're just letting it come through.
Right. Right.
And
That's
that's
just
why.
exactly. Or I would have been like, oh no, Arcturians, you can't cut. Yeah, no. It's not
Yeah.
it's not necessarily who is going to receive what. In fact, I will say this. I had an extreme, exact, precise directive during when all of this started to blow up with the virus around, what was that, like maybe March, April, when it really, was, they're going to start locking stuff down. It was, you do not say that word because we're not going to feed it. Like, and that's not just the Arcturians. That was all my people were like, nope, I don't care if your views go down, which they did. They did. I lost viewership. I got some people unsubscribing who I still love, brothers and sisters. But yeah, it was like that needed to be the topic. And it was like, nope, you're not doing it. And I didn't. And that's okay. That's all right because it's all love. It all comes. Everything you need comes. We flow with each other. This whole thing is changing. Anyway, viewership and numbers and all of this stuff. We're changing all of this because it's really not supposed to be about any of that. Anyway, we're supposed to live and be happy and free and joyous and love each other anyway. So all this other stuff's going to work out. It's all going to come together. It's all going to come together. Just keep your heart open and get in the flow so people can find you and you can find people. And that's when it starts to circulate around you. I mean, you can feel the energy circulating around you, your people. Like I said, 5 minutes before we started, they were like, yep, okay, we're here. Bryan's got something to talk about. I mean, in my head, I'm like, he's got something to talk about because here they come.
We have plenty to talk about. We will always have plenty to talk about. Okay, so the question is then, how do we stay open in our heart?
How do you stay open? You will venture in and out of this. These are the Arcturians. You will venture in and out of openness throughout your lifetime. This will not be a steady stream or a straight line. This will come and go as you need it to, and it will expand further each time you pay attention. Each time you're conscious of it, it will expand more. And the greater that your heart expands and your attention is on that, and your consciousness automatically expands when your heart expands, you will have less of an incidence of going into contraction again. So it will contract less and less. So this is a practice. That's all. There is no one method. It's just attention. It's just attention. And keep going. Keep going. Don't give up. Do not give up on yourself. Everything has a perfect purpose and you are perfect. Perfect. Okay, in transmission. That's what they wanted to say.
Simple enough, and I think that's the beauty of it. It should be simple. We should make it simple.
Yeah.
Awareness. It's just a practice of awareness.
That's right.
I mean, we can speak to the tools, the stepping stones, the techniques, and I think they have their place, but at a certain point, we don't need any of that. It's just let go of feeling like you need anything other than to simplify it.
And just the knowing, here they come, and just the knowing that it's there when you do need it. So in other words, we don't need any of these things, but sometimes we don't know we don't need them. And that's okay. That means cue experience, go time. That's all that means. That means it's time to experience this. There's a reason to experience that. I'm in it. It's fine. And I don't care what it is. It could be depression. It could be anxiety. It could be horrifying. And I don't even want to say, but I have to say, suicidal thoughts. No one wants to think about that. But many of us have had suicidal thoughts and are having them. This can be a rough journey. This isn't all cake and ice cream all the time. And so, yeah, when you know that when you need to have those tools come in, you will be guided to them. Just know it in your consciousness somewhere now, place it there now, and then it's in there. So then when you go into that place that you're not sure you can climb out of, up pops something that you need. That is how it works. You don't have to have all of the answers and have this list and be necessarily tuned in all the time. All of those things are, first of all, that's wonderful if you can do that. If you are that type of meticulous person, you know, which we love them, you know, we need all of us have our strengths and weaknesses. Well, what's a weakness? All of us have different strengths, right? And then things we don't focus on. Now that's the truth. Okay. None of us are really weak. We're all power. We are power cores. So the word weakness is, you know, it feels like it because we're so strong that when there's something that we don't necessarily know how to navigate, it feels like we're just this small suddenly. It's just so much of an oxymoron to us that we're like, we're weak when we forget really the power core that we really are. If you picture it all like light, we're just a power core of white and gold light, many colors in between when we choose them, depending on what we're focused on. And it's all linked straight up to the source of our making, whatever you call that. They're called many things. And I say they because there's always a balance. There's always a feminine and a masculine, no matter what. You can say he, you can say she. Okay, it is a balance. Source is feminine and masculine. Or we could say the energy which created everything. And that energy also has a creator. And so it's never ending.
Are we gonna go into that?
Say again?
That energy source has a creator.
I'm not supposed to get into that.
Oh, too up there.
Yeah,
not
no,
practical.
And I've been told don't even ask. I think I might have even said that to you before when I talked with you and Amanda. That
don't even ask.
Can't remember. Yeah, but yeah, I went there because the more you expand, the more questions you have. More questions, and they were like, no. But you can just think of it in simple terms as infinity. Think of the Think of the non-stop process of blooming. It's not.
Don't think about it.
Right. Don't think. Don't think. That's right. That's a good way to put it, bro.
Yeah. That's actually pretty funny.
I think I got off track there.
Well, it was probably my fault. I think
Say again?
That was definitely my fault. I went off on a tangent. Well, I heard something interesting and I wanted to, but I got the answer. Don't even ask.
Yeah, I don't know, Bryan. I tend to go, well, sometimes they just go into, I think they went into a different message and I think we were talking about, they were talking about how when you need the tools.
Right.
Disappear.
Oh, we didn't wrap that up? There's more?
I don't know if they have more for that. That's where they were going, and then somehow we got into.
Yeah, actually, I see a importance in just pointing out what we can mean by tools. I think you touched on list. Where I'm feeling called for this to go because it definitely pertains to my personal experiences. Calendars, schedules. Where does this fit in for the individual that is looking to raise their vibration, ascend into 5D, and be more deeply present in the now?
Yeah. It can present a little bit of a, the word that came through, this isn't the Arcturians, because I know. Yeah, not the Arcturians. Hiccup. It can present a little hiccup. I thought that was a funny word to come through. It's having you tune back into something that isn't really natural to you, because it's not in your energetic flow of things, but yet you're tuning back in to make sure this, particular calendar, which isn't really even really native to earth and the cosmos and all, like, it's not really a natural. Now, I can't explain that to you. I don't know if they're going to come through and explain it, but they have told me that several times, and they have explained it to me once, but there are people who are going to understand, especially people who understand the Mayan calendar.
Right. Because
Well,
I believe
yeah.
what I've heard is that's more of a suitable tool for us to be using.
Yeah, for sure. And again, this isn't my personal human area. You know, I haven't spent any time myself, even asking a lot of questions about it, you know. Just in the beginning, it always felt more natural to just let go of that, but then you have to be pulled back. But it's really okay. I'm gonna see if, and check in and see if they have something to say about that. They probably will. So yeah, my higher selves are like, let it all go. Stop it.
Completely.
Let me tell you something, Bryan, about this is a whole different, see, this is me going on tangents. It's not you. I knew it. It's not you. Because now I have to tell you something. So I have to tell you something else. So the higher, this is just what I'm calling it. The higher self collective consciousness, okay, is what I'm going to call this, because it's basically just a bunch of our higher selves. I don't know. I'm sure it's not the entire world, obviously, the planet of higher selves, but it's whoever's in the stream of focus that's going to hear, okay? There is this collective consciousness of you guys. You're in there that come through, and they are on fire. They are on fire. So where I used to do these messages, and you probably remember, I'm sure, I mean, it was in the recent past where they were very organized with intention. I'm not saying it was a bad thing, it was a good thing, but I didn't really veer. You know, I wanted to get the information out. This is what needs to come out. But when the higher selves started coming through, they came through with some fire, and they really went in on people, it's us, awakened people, okay? Really, got on us about just sort of sectioning ourselves off into different camps and different groups and sort of creating our own polarity within the spiritual environment, you know, within the teachers and leaders, and, you know, and I did not expect that. And it's still, they're still coming, like, that's what was coming in. Let it all go. Let all of this go. Like, your higher selves, for whoever is listening to this, boy, they are on you. They are fast pushing to integrate with you. I mean, they're like, we're doing this. This is happening. They're in your dreams. They're guiding you, whether you're really, really conscious of it in that moment or not. It's like, and the reason is because you're ready. You're ready. Even if you don't feel ready, it's like, I'm not ready. And that's me too. I'm like, I just want to play. I want to frolic right now. I want to teach my kids. And then I want to do this sometimes. And they're like, nope, this is what you do. This is, and it's like, no. And in terms of what they're talking about, it's not really work necessarily, what we would consider the old type of work in the old paradigm. What they're talking about is self-work. They're talking about really being firm on ourselves with that heart openness, really being firm on ourselves in a loving way. Well, especially a loving way. They're talking about loving ourselves.
Entirely a loving way.
Loving ourselves is,
that's what they're trying to get us to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's happened. It's happening. We're all like, I can see it, like lights flashing, coming on all around me, you know? I didn't want to stop. Say what you were saying, Bryan. I'm just going to keep going. You know it. You got to talk.
Yeah, it's both this holding yourself to a high standard and not letting yourself settle for anything less. So there's this kind of like, it's not pressure. It's not pressure, but it's no, we're not doing anything less than this. I have to say, like, it's coming. Cut the bullshit. Cut the bullshit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also entirely be easy on yourself. Be easy, be gentle on yourself.
Thank you. When you were saying that, Bryan, I restrained myself from like cutting you off because you were speaking it. So, but yeah, when you were saying that, I'm like, but being hard on ourselves and holding ourselves to a high standard is different than what our processing mind wants to like lean into. That's why the heart connection is so important, because it's the complete opposite. It's flipping your world upside down. It's being tough on yourself to relax, tough on yourself to open your heart, tough on yourself to love somebody. It's like flipping it upside down.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Tough on yourself to be easy on yourself. So that's why it goes beyond speech, because it's bringing both of those things together, like in unity at once. So it's not two different things. But then I think a stepping stone, let's call it this, a stepping stone is that in some experiences, we might need to kind of gear more towards one side, where what might feel better is stepping up the little, being tough on myself. I'm going to cut the bullshit. And then other times it's again coming a little bit, I'm going to be a little bit easy on myself. That's been my experience of it. Sometimes it feels right to go a little bit off in one direction and others in the other. But again, I want to be careful here, because it's not one or the other. It's literally both at the same time.
I agree. Yeah, that's very resonant, the way that you said that. Yeah, whew, yeah, they agree too. Yeah, there's some major confirmation on what's being talked about right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
To hear that. They got my back.
Yeah. That's some major confirmation on what's coming through you, for sure. But I'm not surprised at that.
I want to thank them. I know they know this, but how often do we say thank you? Thank you for the guidance. Thank you for all that you're bringing us. We love you. You're always telling us how much you love us, but we love you too. I know you know this, but it feels good when we hear it, so it must feel good for them to hear it too. It's
it must
an
feel,
honor
yeah.
to
And I wonder if they're going
receive.
to say something. That's all right.
And I don't need anything in return. You don't need to give me anything back in return. You do enough of that, and they want to do that, so I'll be open to receiving. Let's hear it.
Because they're lighting me up like this, and right when they were about to say something, you said, "No, I don't need any of that," and that they were just about to start talking too. They were going to say the words that were about to come through. We are honored to experience this in a different way, however, but we are honored. The honor means something different than what it would mean to an ego mind. This you know, this you already know. We experience you as you are, truly, not as the increments or even the totality of your human experience, but as you really are.
Wow.
And so therefore, we already know exactly how you feel. We know your mission, we know your purpose, and we know your heart. And that is why it is not necessary on our end to receive these, let's call them accolades.
Yeah.
However, it is good for you to express them, because in the humanness, which is beautiful that you all are, this is an energetic exchange of necessity. It's an exchange of necessity in transition.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, so they said something there that
You were just lighting up when you were talking. No, I think you froze a little bit again.
Yeah, a little bit. You were saying you were expressing something there. I want to hear it again.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, they were just lighting up as you were talking. That's it. I just randomly say stuff during, interviews, and it probably clogs up the whole thing. That's why I told you got to get a sign, like mute.
Yolanda, we started with saying that this is not an interview. This is us chatting.
Okay, that's true. So we can be, well, then it's never going to, then we're just going to keep going.
Okay, there was something that came up that I really want to bring up. When they said, we experience you as you are, light bulbs just went off saying, one of the most important things we can do is see others as they truly are.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I thought you were going to have a question, so I was preparing, but this is just resonance. No, it's a perfect correlation, a perfect correlation. And for us to be able to do that, so we're going to go back to the heart expansion. That's really literally the only way to be able to, it's because at first it starts off like it's a reminder. You're having to remind yourself. There's nothing wrong
To
with that.
think that way.
When this journey, say again.
So you're saying at first, like, again, stepping stone idea, we have to remind ourselves to think that way, but we're coming to a place where we don't need to think about that.
It's like they said, it's like working a muscle, just having that thing expand more and more. Eventually, it's just automatic. I mean, there are those around us now where it's pretty automatic already. You can probably pick them out. Some of them are channels, some of them, I mean, I can think of a couple right away that it's very, very automatic, probably not like what it's going to be when you're fully only living at fifth dimensional frequencies. If that, you know, at the frequencies where you are only experiencing a fifth dimensional experience. I mean, that's probably even more expanded, but you know, it's happening. And I guess this is needing to be said because, you know, don't limit yourself. We shouldn't limit ourselves to think, oh, well, it's gonna, you know, in other words, give ourselves rules, like set lower expectations, like, you know, it's gotta start small. Sometimes you can just leap forward, but normally it's like when you first start, like when I first started on the journey, I was gonna say, I had to remind myself. And the key was being just vigilant, like doggedly reminding myself all the time. Now, when I had a Kundalini awakening, that's a flip-flop experience there. And by flip-flop, I don't mean changing your mind. I just mean it's like upside down. So when I had my Kundalini experience, I didn't know about any of this other stuff. That was actually before I knew anything about, you know, that we were connected to galactic beings. I didn't know anything about that, okay? But I was seeing everyone pretty much as they are, and I couldn't control it. Now, some people listening who eventually listen to this may be able to relate to that and might be having that happen and don't understand, you know, where they fit in it. Because it's like all of a sudden, like 1 minute, you're very, very heavy. If that makes sense. You don't realize you're heavy, but your body will feel very heavy once you go into this other way of seeing, and it is a higher frequency, but you don't know that at the time, and then you come back down. And see, that's what tends to happen when people have Kundalini awakenings before they really know exactly what's going on. You know, they feel all of this, like I could see colors were so different. It was like being in the fifth dimension, which I didn't know existed, but it was at the time, but it was like being in it, seeing everybody like that, but nobody could respond to me. Nobody could relate at all. Like no one I was around for in the foreseeable different distance, you know, could at all relate to why I was seeing and feeling that way. And it was like my heart was on the outside. That's what it's like. And so, and I don't even know why. Oh yeah. So this is why that information came in. Because so now if you're aware of it, then you just doggedly have to remind yourself. But there are instances when it's just happening and you feel like your heart is on the outside. Now, when that thing happens and you don't know what's going on, that actually can become very painful. It is, you know, it is an experience, and probably a lot of people can relate to that. I mean, it can physically hurt in your body, a Kundalini awakening, and you don't understand that you're expanding. And so it could go either way. But what I experienced once I woke up to that galactics were real. I mean, I had a feeling they were real. I had experiences when I was younger with ET, what I would have called then ET beings, of course, you know, but I didn't really know for sure. So once I knew for sure and I understood, it was just like game on. It was like literally like write that list. This is what you're going to do. You're going to do this no matter what, because you have to understand what's going on. You don't want to live in this dense experience anymore. So it is almost like, you know, so for people that have those questions, like, well, how do I, you know, figure this out? Or how can I feel this? How can I tune in? How can I, well, sometimes gifts can just come to you. sometimes you have to learn them, but really it's less about trying to find one gift or one, way to be, way of being. And it's less about all of that stuff. It's more really about just letting yourself expand, opening that heart, making sure you're doing it every day. The other stuff comes, it just magnetizes to you. And that's the truth. It just literally magnetizes to you. You learn how to feel your spirit guides in your heart. You learn how to hear whatever way you hear by the fact that your heart is opening. If your heart is shut down, you can learn all of these trade tools and learn all of this stuff, but you're still never going to really get beyond a certain point. Okay? And that's the experiencing of this very polarized situation that we're in now. Okay, that would be a good example. Yeah, you're just not going to get beyond a certain point as long as you are satisfied, basically, with not having your heart open, with being okay with the polarity. If something starts to feel uncomfortable, and it is, just address it. Just like right now, the discomfort is great for people, especially people who aren't awake. And many people listening, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. Like for people that aren't awake, there's an extreme amount of discomfort right now. And whatever awake means, it can be awake to facts that are going on. It can mean, awake to your heart, awake to this expansion. There are different levels of and layers to being awake. But, in some way, if they're not conscious of what's going on, at least in their etheric field, and understand what they are in terms of them and source energy, and have any idea about that, then yeah, there's a lot of discomfort going on. That's going to trigger the heart opening. That's what's happening. That's why the lesson is compassion. That's the lesson that we're giving ourselves with this.
Compassion.
It all comes back to that. I tell you, every time we talk, it comes full circle, doesn't it?
And that's that's the opening to all the other things that we want to experience. All right. And I mean, there's
no circumventing it. There's no getting around it.
We'll always get pointed back to that.
Yeah.
Pursuing the other things.
There's no shortcut.
Yeah. I was going to say, pursuing the other things, having that has its place, like being inspired to work towards something, cultivate something, develop some sort of ability or skill. It has its place, but I think we have to really remember that it's coming back to that simple process of greater awareness, opening the heart, that all those other things will come.
Yeah, because there is a literal reason. So now here are the Arcturians. We say start with that. Start with the heart expansion, no matter what. It doesn't mean you have to start with it and finish it. It never finishes. It's always expanding, no matter what. But start there, because then what you desire, now we're into quantum manifestation, then what you desire, those thought form particles, what you have created in your mind's eye, working with the quarks, the bits, the pieces of what you call the universe, all of these things that you cannot perceive from your 3D prism, all of those things begin to materialize, and they much more quickly match the expanded heart, because the expanded heart is an imprint, a connection of source, connection to source. It's it's like a mirror. It's like a mirror. And the creation is source. Everything is source energy. The more connected you are to source, the more quickly your manifestations come in. Well, what is a gift? It's a manifestation in your physical experience of what you want to create, do, be, exhibit for someone. A gift, tool, a trade, a business, abundance, love, life, learning, enjoyment. All of these are manifestations that you wish to experience in your physical form, and you can, but it starts with the heart. It starts with the heart. There is no getting around this. This is your own lesson for you. If you want to consider it a lesson, really it might be more advantageous to just consider it the experience. It's not that you have to necessarily teach yourself something, and definitely not some sort of punishment. It is not a punishment. It is not a punishment. It is just experience.
We
are the Arcturian Council and transmission. Sorry.
I'd say it's the complete opposite of a punishment.
Yeah, it is.
I'm so glad that that's the topic that that just came up, because I think that's what's being called for. Quantum manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they summed it all up right there, but we're gonna play around with this a little bit. Quantum manifestation. I love that phrasing. Okay, let's see. Wanting to manifest something.
Mm-hmm.
How should we approach wanting to manifest something?
Mm.
Should we not want? Should we think about what we want? Should we not think about what we want?
What is should? Should. Do or do not. Should. That's an in-between. That is just a matter of you making a decision as to which direction you wish to go. So if you like the wanting, if it feels good to you to want something, just know that you do not need to linger on it. You don't need to linger on the want. Just want it. Just want it. Admit that you want it. Fully admit what you want. Fully admit. Fully admit what you want. You want to deny some of the things that you want in lieu of understanding whether it is too much or right or wrong, or maybe not what you're supposed to want, or all of these other things. These things are not part of your original creation of this experience. Your original creation, what you have come into and already have all of these options set before you, are for you to just choose. Not a right or wrong or should or shouldn't or any of that. If you like the wanting and you want to experience the wanting of it, and many of you do because it feels good to imagine, then do not linger on that. Yes, immediately come to understand and love what is around you so that you may be in a frequency of receiving and of love rather than a frequency of lack and trauma. This is true. She was asking. However, these are all minute details. You are creators. You simply create. The only thing that keeps you from creating is the thought that perhaps you will not get what you desire or that you will be judged. Mm-hmm. This is the holdup. And transmission.
What keeps us from creating is thinking that we won't experience what we desire. So limiting thinking, not truly believing, or thinking that we'll get judged, which gets in the way of our sense of worthiness, our innate sense of worthiness and sovereignty, where you don't need anything outside of you to make you feel a certain way, to make you feel validated, to make you feel approved. You want what you want, and nothing else matters because you're so centered in what you actually want, and that will be so much more clear to you than the wanting of someone else to think of you a particular way.
Yeah.
That I don't care what anyone thinks about me.
Right.
I'm.
They're saying just be the creator all of the time. Just be the creator all of the time. Stop being afraid to be the creator. It's fear. It's fear. But the fear is based on previous experiences that needed to occur so that you could have this heavy experience as humans. So you see, this is why we continually say that all is well, even though the phrase all is well seems so frivolous. You think all is not well. You think it's terrible what's happening, and why can't I just be and be happy with what I have and not ever want anything? And the reason is because you are a creator. You came to create. So the reason we say this is so that you can free yourself from judging yourself for wanting anything and go after what you want with the open heart expanse. This is what cuts off the ego, negative side of the ego, which would not take into consideration the welfare of the other. This is another just experienced. It had many lives, in fact, many of you experiencing what it is like to want and then gain without the heart, with the contraction of the heart, and hurt others. So there is still that in the collective consciousness. There are things in the collective consciousness that are also the holdup. So you will experience what it is like to very quickly manifest, and you already are. It is just not quite in your supreme control as of yet. But it is because collectively you are all connected very closely on your planet. And so things in the collective consciousness must continue to be clarified, cleansed, healed, these mutual traumas. And this is what you are doing now. So many of you are helping to eradicate this trauma through your own experiencing. That's why there are no mistakes. If you have forgotten to open your heart for a moment and then opened it later, there was a reason that you forgot. You were experiencing. You will open it more. Don't judge yourself for all of these things. Just start again on the path that you never really got off of. Think of it as starting again, but you never left. And transmission.
Another thing coming through right now is integrating this wanting with being totally accepting of what is. It was said, come to love what you have, come to love what's before you,
Right.
and that will invoke the experience of what you want.
Right.
See, this
Doing
is
the
why
two simultaneously.
Yeah, and this is why it's so tricky to talk about, because we the mind wants one answer. Am I to think about what I want and actively focus upon creating what I want, or am I to accept and fully love and appreciate what is in this now? It's both.
We think it is either or. We think it's either or. And that's normal, and so we're coming into it's simultaneous. We can do both. We just don't know yet. We just have to practice. That's all.
Practice. Yeah. It's practicing something that we haven't been in before. So it feels like it's not something that we can do and be. But I mean, another thing that kind of comes up here is the ability to hold two perspectives simultaneously, right? So even just, be in two different experiences simultaneously. I don't want to go off to... Are we still there? Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah. Oh, I'm still hearing that freeze.
Yeah, for a little.
Oh, yeah. I could still hear you the whole time, though.
Okay. This would be another tangent, but it parallels what we're talking about here. It's being able to perceive of two experiences simultaneously, right? That's something that the mind can't mentally conceive of, but it's something
well, it depends on the experiences. It depends. So some things we're used to doing them simultaneously, but this particular thing, this in particular is just a hairy bit that's left to clear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are just some things. And so, yeah, we have been in a state as humans where they want to come through again. Yeah. but they're saying so we've been in a state where we have had our power of creativity, okay, dampened. One of my higher selves really want to say crushed, really, but we're going to say dampened, because then the Arcturians want to say dampened. It has been, and it has been with ill intent, right? Well, of course, we know from higher perspective, we understand that in order to release all of that, we can't get into a victim perpetrator stance. So I'm not trying to invoke that. We don't want to invoke all of that, but we must still understand the truth, because also the more we know the truth and allow that trauma to release, it is easier to step in and understand, oh, this is my ability. So basically, long story short, we can't hold all of the stuff inside and not emote it at all that did happen on Earth and continues to happen right now with just limiting people's freedoms and all of that. We can understand that those things do serve a purpose. It's like, again, it's like you can do both at the same time. You can walk and chew gum, right, at the same time. We can understand that is a truth that did happen. There is real trauma that has happened on this planet. But then we can also understand how to help that release, how to better help it release. It's not to sit in the focus of that. That's not how we help it release, right? So it's sort of the same thing. So one way we can help release the trauma of not having been able to be our creator selves is just to acknowledge that that happened and then allow it to release. Yeah, I just didn't know, right? Singularly speaking, like you could say, I just did not know that I was able to really do all of these things. And now that we're stepping into this, I'm going to allow that. You can use the word forgive if you need to, but it's sort of, it's a step that we can't skip, if that makes sense. It's like once we realize all this power that we have with this power core, and some of us can quantum leap past that, and we're already able to manifest all these things, and that's wonderful. But what the Arcturians were saying, but in the collective consciousness still exists the trauma. It's there.
So where are people getting stuck then? where are people commonly getting stuck in the intention of manifesting something?
They're saying you're trying to skip the step. Like you're skipping the step, what they just said. In the collective consciousness, so in the human collective consciousness, the trauma of having been so limited on a collective scale is still there, and it is dampening people's ability to just let go and be free of the doubt, right? And be free of the judgment of the wanting and all of that. There's still a little some stuff in the mix. So the more the collective consciousness trauma gets cleared, the easier it will be. Now that's on a broader scale. Okay, so individually speaking, let's say. And it's true, individually, you don't want to over focus on that and go back into anger over things or whatever the perception is of what happened and all of that. And there are many different situations that different people focus on. It's all about perspective. So that is true. But overall, it's the overall just general acknowledgement of let's release this. So yeah, they're saying it's just setting the intention to release it from the collective would be a very good step in expediting all of our process to be able to manifest more quickly.
So specifically the intention of addressing collective traumas, right? That collective part, that there's significance to it being, is there significance to it being, this is something that I'm doing for collective?
Not necessarily. It is just, yes, you can think of it as part of what you really lovingly want to do for the collective, yes. And you can also simply just to have that moment of intention is enough, just to have that moment of intention. And this is not something that every person even needs to focus on. This is just a broader perspective answer to the question, why is it so hard for individual humans to get past their own barriers and just be able to more instantaneously create the life that they want? There are many, many reasons individually that humans are unable to break the barrier. One of them is the belief of deservedness. And you see, this leads us back to the collective consciousness, because the belief of deservedness is a broader, expansive collective consciousness trauma. It is not merely individual. However, we do not want to impress upon you that you need to take on a greater role than what you feel is your duty or what you have agreed to come and do. This is not what we are saying. It is just for you to be aware. In your mere awareness of this, it will free you up.
Ooh.
The trauma is already clearing. It is clearing, but you just need to acknowledge that it has existed. If it did not exist, and if you were not tied into this somehow with the collective consciousness, if this didn't affect you, you would be manifesting what you want to manifest, and you would not have the question.
That's so powerful. That acknowledging that it's a collective trauma frees you from it. Supports you in freeing you from it.
Because otherwise it's sitting in there. See, whether or not we want to consciously address something, it's sitting in there. It's still in there. It's in there chilling out, clogging the pipes, and we're like, what's wrong? And it's like, well, we are all connected. You're my brother, I'm your sister. The indigenous people over here who went through these traumas, that's real. I'm connected to them. I'm connected to their ancestors. My ancestors went through trauma. Your ancestors went through trauma. There are people right now on earth going through this trauma that we're connected to, where they are having certain things squashed. And it doesn't even have to be large experiences. It can be experiences in a family household. I mean, they're just talking about in general, collective traumas. We have been thinking, if we just don't think about that it occurred, even if it is somehow tied to us, that it will not affect us. And that's actually still okay. It just means that our experience will be a little bit different. That's all it means. There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's just if you want to see the things manifest and you happen to be tied into this trauma, then you want to address that particular trauma. Yes, we are. Okay, so I was asking them, so do they mean that the deservedness thing in particular, and the whole thing around, well, you're not allowed to create this for yourself, is that whole thing? And they're saying, yes, we are speaking primarily in these moments about that particular trauma. So the other examples were we're giving examples to show you in other areas of your life, if there's something going on. It could be collective trauma that you're holding because you're part of the collective. That's all they're saying. But in particular, this whole deservedness and being so put in a box and not allowed to express your full divinity, even though that is a thing that happened and we definitely have agreed to experience this, yes, but it's like, know that over here, but then also acknowledge over here. So that way you can release it. You can then release it fully instead of just sort of allowing it to sit and do whatever it's doing in your field, right? Because this is stuff in your field. It looks invisible to us, you know, not to everybody. Some people can see it. But yeah, this is, it may be intangible to us, but it is there. It is definitely there. And you can guarantee if there's some area where you feel limited in your life, there will be individual traumas for sure, personal traumas, but there may likely be, like if you've explored all of these other things, there may be some more collective trauma that you have somewhere in your consciousness known but denied. This is just a possibility, they're saying. This is just a possibility. We do not want people to go and over-investigate every nuance of their life now to determine if they are holding trauma. You will know, you will be able to just set the intention that if something comes up,
when it comes
that
up,
you will be
don't go
alerted
looking
to.
for it.
Right, they're saying, yeah. Don't go like on a scavenger hunt here, but just know. But just know that could be what it is. And a lot of what's going on a collective scale with people who aren't awake to all of this is the holding and not knowing that they need to release like all sorts of trauma. And it's collective. It's, of course there are going to be personal traumas as well. That's part of the experience. None of this is meant to be scary, but it just is, And so a lot of that is what is trying to be released right now. And that's, we could call it the holdup. It's not really a holdup, I guess. Yeah, it's not really a holdup necessarily, in a manner of speaking. I guess for us, we want everything done right now, right? So for us, it's a holdup. But on a broader scale, it's not really a holdup. It's part of the plan,
Yeah, we want to experience the gradualness.
Yeah.
The word instant came up, and I definitely think there's something that wants to be explored there. But I do want to do a little bit of sum up, just in case anyone
have to wrap it up pretty soon. Yeah, like maybe 5 minutes. How's that?
Okay, sure. Thank you for the heads up. Okay, let me see which direction to go with this then. Okay, let's bring into that word first before we do a total sum up. How about that? Instant manifestation. I'm not even going to ask a question.
Oh, okay. B, instant manifestation. When you think of this in terms of having something appear in your reality as you would have it appear according to your liking and your standards, you just be it, become it. That's what they said. Become it. What do you mean by become it? How do you become something?
Can I answer that?
Okay. Go
and
ahead.
Then I would love to hear them chime in. You believe yourself to already be that. Because you already are that. You contain within you infinite potentiality. And so you already are that which you seek to be, that which you wish to experience. That vibration already exists within you as an infinite being. It's a matter of bringing your awareness to that vibration that it already is.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. You do not need to know every detail of the nuances of how the particles come together, although that can be fun and amazing to learn as you progress through your quantum science and to develop these extra beyond physical skills. But yes, absolutely correct. You hold every possibility within your consciousness already. The more you are expansive and the more you are engulfing source energy, or rather source energy is engulfing you, the more instantaneously it appears. However, just to understand that this is possible and to let go of your distortions as previously discussed, it means that it will appear very, very rapidly in your reality. And you will know that it is coming. When you have reached this point, you will feel the knowing more easily. You will be less anxious or trepidatious about your weight because you will know that it is coming and then it will appear. In fact, you will forget about it and you will look up one day and it will just be in front of you. This is how this will work. Even as you expand, it will just get faster.
And we come into a state in which feeling that which we wish to feel becomes more important than seeing that which we wish to see.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We won't have those needs. That's right.
Yolanda, family, everybody that's here at this beautiful party. It's been an absolute pleasure to play, to connect, to celebrate, and to serve alongside. We are in this together. It's been fun. I'm going to let you all go now, for now. But I know that we're not really going anywhere. We're always
That's
still here
right.
with each other. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's right. Thank you for having me.
Ascenders, that is going to be all for my conversation with and party with Yolanda Marie and the Arcturian Council. I hope you endured a similar degree of expansion as I did. I'm going to say it again each and every time I come into connection with this being and our friends that join us through her. It's an absolutely incredible experience. Quantum manifestation. The power to manifest instantly. That's what we ascend into. And the key to all of this, the primary intention, is to open your heart. Keep your heart open. Practice compassion for yourself and for all others. And let us continue to ascend together. Lightworkers, you've heard the call to serve, the call to unite. If this invitation into the Ascend Academy is of resonance to you, I do hope you find yourself to our website and our platform at academy.togetherweascend.com to join us and be a part of all that's been unfolding in our space of collaboration, connection, and co-creation. One last thing that I would deeply appreciate if you consider doing, if you've been enjoying the show and you'd like to show a little bit of support, please do head on over to iTunes to give us an honest review. And that you can do at togetherweascend.com/iTunes. Anyways, Ascenders, that is it for this one. It's been an honor and an absolute pleasure to continue to serve you through the podcast, and I look forward to continuing to do so. Thank you for all the love and support, and until next time, keep ascending.